If you've heard Donald Trump say the economy is great and then looked around and wondered, what the heck is he talking about? You're onto something. There's something that the president and those at the very top are not telling you. The economy is good for them. The numbers look good for them. But if you look under the hood, you'll find that those numbers increasingly reflect the experience of only the top 10% of Americans. So what's happening with everybody else, the remaining 90%? And that's a question that not enough people are asking. So let me give you an example here. Airline tickets. New corporate earnings data show that more and more people are buying first class and business tickets. Whoa, that must mean that people are getting richer, right? Because let's take a look at the numbers for the main cabin. They're actually going down. Yeah, so take Delta Airlines, for example. They reported a 4% drop in main cabin tickets booked, while ticket sales for first and business class seats rose by 9% during the same period of time. In other words, high-income people are buying those premium tickets like crazy, taking more vacations or traveling more for business, while a lot of other people can't afford to fly at all. In fact, for the first time ever in their history, Delta expects more of their revenue to come from first class and business class tickets than from main cabin sales. Wow. To me, that says it all. A whole lot of people may be having trouble getting that extra cash to fly, while wealthy people can afford to spend. And since the rich are spending, it looks like the economy overall is doing pretty well. And sure, that's true for 10% of Americans, but the other 90% are just getting crushed. Look at the price of groceries today. Talk to anyone who's trying to buy health insurance. Ask your friends about their electricity bill. More and more people are putting off car repairs. People are carrying more debt on their credit cards. The number of searches for seasonal work and second jobs are going up on Google. In other words, things are getting more expensive and pinching pennies is getting tougher and tougher. Meanwhile, Donald Trump loves talking about how the stock market keeps hitting record highs. But here's the thing, this tells you nothing about how most people are experiencing the real economy. Remember, about 40% of families don't have a penny in stocks, and a lot more have just a little bit tucked away for retirement. But for rich folks who have a lot of their wealth in stocks, woo, those stock market highs are fabulous news. So fabulous, in fact, that they fly to Paris to celebrate, and they definitely fly first class. Same deal in job numbers. Since January, income growth for lower and middle class workers has been falling, but for higher earners, it's been speeding up. So what we get is basically a two-track economy. Some people call this a K-shaped economy. I call it a rigged economy. For those at the top, they're doing great. And for everyone else, they're in hot water and it's getting hotter. Look, I remember when I was a kid, and there was never a time we didn't worry about money. When I was 12, my daddy had a heart attack. He lost his job. The family station wagon was repossessed, and we were about to lose our home. That's when my mom put on her best dress and her high heels and got herself a minimum wage job answering phones at Sears. That minimum wage job saved our home and it saved our family. And I bring that up because that's just not possible anymore. Today, a minimum wage job won't keep a mama and a baby afloat. It won't cover rent, and it's definitely not enough to buy a house. It can't be stretched to pay for a surprise health care bill. So how do we level the playing field for working families? Well, if you ask Donald Trump and the Republicans in Congress, they'll tell you we need to cut taxes for those people at the very top who are already doing great. And when they say the top, actually, they mean the tippy top, not just the 10%. They want to cut the rates for the top 1/100th of 1% of people. Why? Well, some of these Republican politicians have been bought out by billionaire donors. Yep. But others believe that if rich people have more money in their pockets, that money will trickle down to the rest of the economy. And just so you know, there's no evidence to show that's true. Look, I think we need to be putting money back into the pockets of working people. To start with childcare. Mamas and daddies can't work if they don't have access to childcare. The average cost per year of infant care in America, $21,840, and that's the average. A lot of parents pay way more than that. So why not invest in universal child care to make sure parents aren't paying more than $10 a day on child care? How is that not a better investment than tax cuts for rich people? Or take healthcare. Back when I was a professor, I studied why people go broke, and one of the top reasons, medical bills. Terrible accident, cancer diagnosis, MS, ALS. Right now, Republicans are ripping away healthcare for 15 million Americans, and health insurance premiums are about to skyrocket for Americans across the country. Why aren't we helping working people actually afford a trip to the doctor? This is what Democrats in Congress are fighting for today, and it's an uphill battle. Donald Trump and Republicans are going to keep trying to scam you into thinking they're doing what's best for working people, even though you know that's not the case. So stay smart and stay in the fight.